Now, tonight in Iowa, NBC News projected that Donald Trump won the caucuses with more than 50% of the vote. These numbers really cement the 4 times indicted defendant candidate's status as the front-runner. We already knew this, but in the Republican field. The race for second place had a little bit more drama, with Nikki Haley and Florida Governor Ron DeSantis locked in a dead heat for most of the night. But as awkward as he may be at times, and he is awkward, DeSantis did put in the work in Iowa, and maybe that helped him. He visited all 99 counties, and it paid off a bit with a second-place finish in the state, even if he doesn't have a real path forward, it seems. Third-place finisher Nikki Haley is now off to New Hampshire, where traditionally presidential candidates go right after the Iowa caucuses. But not Donald Trump. He will once again buck tradition and head to a courtroom in New York City for the start of the E. Jean Carroll defamation trial. And that civil case is, of course, on top of the 4 criminal trials that Trump is also facing, where he also seems to want to appear in the courtrooms, involving his hoarding of classified information and attempts to overturn the last election, just to name a few. But Trump's legal woes certainly didn't hold him back tonight. As we were just talking about 2/3 of Iowa caucus goers say that even if he's convicted, they still consider him to fit to be president. So this slice of the Republican electorate seems pretty clear who their first choice is, criminal charges and all. Back with me is my all-star panel here. So we've talked a lot about Trump. We've talked a lot about the Republican candidates. Let's talk a little bit about the other guy running, President Joe Biden. So, Puff, you talked to the campaign a lot. If they're watching what happened tonight, what do they think of it? Do they think about it?
Well, one thing that's important when you're incumbent is, when does the general election start? And so this would suggest it's going to start a lot sooner than you'd probably like.
Is that good for them?
I would argue maybe it is, just because the sooner this turns into a searing contrast, probably the better off Biden is. So even if you probably like a couple more months to prepare, I think being in that boxing ring with him and him alone is probably helpful. And I think what it shows is, the Republican Party is, my guess is, the biggest concern I have as I think about next November is the turnout differential that could be there.
Was a segment on MSNBC, and if you think that was anything, wait till you see what Laura Ingraham has to say. And so Donald Trump is going to go neck and neck with Joe Biden in 2024. But what about Nikki Haley and DeSantis? They need to step aside. Bye-bye. The numbers are not looking good for them, and there is just no path of success for them. And it's time that they embrace President Donald Trump to be going up against President Joe Biden. And as you heard from MSNBC, they're calling Trump the baddest criminal indictment. It has nothing. MSNBC, listen to me well. Voters do not care about Donald Trump's personal problems with Joe Biden. They just want out of this inflation, and they know that by voting for Trump in 2024, they have a shot at getting out of this inflation. We are going to bring you now Fox News. You got to see what Laura Ingraham has to say about Nikki Haley and DeSantis. Even Laura Ingraham is saying that DeSantis and Nikki Haley needs to just move on. Trump is doing well, and there is no plausible any future this year for Haley or DeSantis to be president. There's just none. The numbers are not there. Trump had 51% in Iowa. DeSantis had 19. Haley had 21. Trump raised 18 million, DeSantis around 3.6, Haley 35.6, but Haley's money, the money she raised, is not equating to, beating Trump. And as you heard what Laura Ingraham said as well, and Haley said this is a two-person race now. She was talking about her and Trump, but we're here to say no, Haley, it's Trump with Joe Biden. That's what it's gonna be. Let's go see what Laura Ingraham has to say now. I'm Tisha Powell. Go ahead and check out the tag products and go ahead and subscribe. We'll be back.
All right. And now I have to say, this is a perfect follow-on given Vivek's endorsement. This is my advice to the last 3, and that's the focus of tonight's angle. All right. After what we witnessed in Iowa last night, it's time for everyone to start living in the real world. Now, Donald Trump won the caucuses by a historic margin. Sorry, Joe Scarborough. Now, despite being far outspent in advertising, despite the media onslaught against him, despite being indicted 4 times and having to split time between courtrooms and the campaign trail, he did it. And at 77 years old, he's the Energizer candidate. So last night, after giving his victory speech, he left Des Moines around 11 p.m. Central Time. He flew back to New York and then was in court again today. And then he flew to New Hampshire to do the event that you just saw. Now, look, unless something unthinkable happens, Donald Trump is going to be the nominee of the Republican Party. And the party is more unified now, but behind him and his policies, than at any time since the Reagan years, or maybe right after 9/11. Now, this is not spin, it's the truth. If beating Joe Biden is really their goal, then it's time for some serious soul-searching by Nikki Haley and Ron DeSantis. Now, let's start with DeSantis. He outperformed last night. He beat Nikki Haley's war chest, so he has a lot to be proud of. As a candidate on the trail, he worked his butt off. And people forget how young he is. So with 3 more years as Florida's governor, he can build an even greater track record of success in that very important state. So a future in the Republican Party for him could be really bright. But he's simply not going to be president this time around. I know it's hard to hear. You worked really hard for it. It's not happening. Trump is simply too powerful and has endured too much. Voters aren't going to turn their backs on him at this point. And every day that Ron DeSantis...
And there you have it. That was Laura Ingraham 14 hours ago. As you could tell, even Laura Ingraham is saying that DeSantis and Nikki Haley have no path for victory. It is President Donald Trump. He's going up against President Joe Biden in 2024. And it's time for Haley and DeSantis to go ahead and endorse President Donald Trump, because there is just no path for victory for DeSantis or Haley. And even MSNBC, as you saw earlier, even they are saying that President Trump will probably be going up against Joe Biden. It's clear the numbers are there for Trump, and it doesn't matter all those criminal indictment that he has against him. People don't care about that. They care about the inflation. They care about immigration. They care about saving this country. The inflation, I mean, we are at $34 trillion in debt. That's a lot. The average home is $430,000. That's a lot. Interest rate is at 6.97%. That's a lot. So there's a lot of economic issues that are going on in the United States, and only President Donald Trump can address them. And this is why we think that people want to see President Trump against Joe Biden. And I'm Tisha Powell, and I'm reminding everyone to subscribe to this channel to get the latest on news. And check out those tagged products. They are gorgeous. They are lovely. They are beautiful. And what are we learning from the Joe Biden campaign? Well, they are looking forward to going up against President Donald Trump. You can see even President Joe Biden is seeing that President Donald Trump is coming in 2024. He'll be on the ballot. I'm Tisha Powell. We'll see you another time. Take care of yourself and take care of each other. Leave you with my dance.